A long time ago, God gave us our fatherland, and He made it so that we call it Nigeria. The fact that we find ourselves in this part of the world is a divine agenda for us all. Let's live in love and unity and promote our...
Nigeria, a Western African country off the coast of the Gulf of Guinea, is well known for its natural landmarks, wildlife reserves, and abundance of oil. Additionally, Nigeria is the most populated country of Africa, with a total population of 174 million people that continues to grow rapidly. However, Nigeria shares many of the social and population-related issues that many other developing sub-Saharan African countries also face, which is why the country is still not considered a developed country. Notably, Nigeria is currently contending with high rates of illiteracy. According to the World Factbook, only 59.6% of Nigeria's population is literate. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, recommends that 26% of the nation's annual budget should be spent on education, but the Nigerian government only spends 11% of its federal budget on education. Therefore, our non-government organization, Terps for the Advancement of Nigeria, also known as TAN, is requesting a $1 billion grant from the Luna Foundation in order to allocate the necessary funding to improve education and literacy rates in Nigeria. It is our hope and vision that if successful, we will see a more developed Nigeria where education is a common practice for all children. Therefore, we have made it our mission to improve education and literacy rates in Nigeria by establishing more schools and improving the infrastructure of current schools, providing scholarships to students to complete their higher level educations, and enhancing training for teachers. The first phase of our plan will be to provide more education opportunities through scholarships to students. Currently, there are 3 main levels of schooling in Nigeria: federal government schools, state-owned, and private secondary schools. The private schools provide the best education and best teacher-to-student ratio, but it costs about $1,000 to $2,000 a year in tuition. The Terps for the Advancement of Nigeria aims to improve the accessibility of quality education by creating a scholarship program for the students. The scholarship will eliminate the cost of education for the recipients and in turn increase the rate of graduation from secondary schools. In order to qualify for the scholarships, the students must meet requirements regarding family income and scholarly performance. The applicants would have to demonstrate commitment to their education, which would be able to indicate their commitment to pursue a secondary education. This will result in higher graduation rates for secondary schools by helping alleviate monetary restrictions that many students face when trying to finance their education. Next, we will provide grants for teachers in order for them to complete the higher level education necessary to effectively teach. In Lagos, Nigeria's largest city, the state chairman reported that there is an immediate need to employ about 11,000 teachers. And this rush to employ new teachers has resulted in a low status of education and lack of qualified teachers. TAN hopes to be able to establish a stronger education system by furthering education for teachers and balancing the student-to-teacher disproportion. Because many teachers in Nigeria have not been able to complete their degrees, we plan to provide those teachers opportunities to complete their education by setting up scholarships. Applicants must fill out a questionnaire providing their income and preferred location of teaching, as well as answer essays explaining their willingness to teach and motivation to complete their degrees. Through these responses, we will be able to gauge which applicants are most motivated to teach and improve the education system in Nigeria. One risk is not finding enough willing participants for the program. We will minimize this risk by improving the salary of teachers. This will help legitimize the profession, alongside properly educating teachers, setting new standards, and vastly improving Nigeria's education system. The program will also have advisors to help the teachers stay on track and motivated. TAN's final objective is to combat overcrowded facilities by building more schools and to improve the existing school infrastructures. At the tertiary level alone, the number of students has grown from under 15,000 in 1970 to around 1.5 million today. In 2013, 1.7 million students applied for the mere 500,000 spots in Nigeria's universities. Nigeria's institutions and halls are severely overcrowded, leaving the student-to-teacher ratios to skyrocket. TAN plans to improve infrastructures in schools and build more schools. In the northern part of Nigeria, literacy rate is really low. We plan to build 10 primary and secondary schools in the 4 lowest literacy rate states. We will ensure that each school built has each of the requirements specified in the Child-Friendly Schools Infrastructure Standards and Guidelines. TAN will have professional engineers and architects as experts to cooperate with local contractors for each school project. Our risk in building schools is the increased terrorism of Boko Haram. Boko Haram has been known to focus on schools as targets for their terrorism. Terrorism cannot be totally eliminated, but we can better our schools by being prepared for such threats. We will do this by reinforcing security measures to protect the students. The budget will be divided by the pertinence of allocation of expenses, as shown in this chart. Through these 3 steps, we aim to help drive Nigeria's education forward. The outcomes of our plan will increase the accessibility of education for students, the quality of teachers, and the safety of schools in Nigeria.
I go still they speak my mind for all the basic amenities my people they find. Our children they die.